One of the things that I learned from owning that small investment management business is that everybody's interested in doing M&A, and it makes a ton of sense economically to do it, but it's very difficult. So we tried 4 times to merge with another firm, but it just always broke down on people issues. And so I can see the advantages and the need for consolidation. So I thought I couldn't do it as principal, but I'd love to do it as an advisor, and I think it makes sense. So have great connectivity in the industry from my time there. And so we've got a couple of sale mandates, one for a fund company, one for an investment manager. And that's led us to have a number of interesting conversations with other people in the industry. And so, the more you learn about it, the more you are able to see opportunities and the more credibility you have when you're talking to people in the industry. So I expect that we should be able to do 1 or 2 transactions a year for the next 5 years in that space. So we are very focused on it. And having the hands-on experience as the CEO of one of those businesses gives you a really good understanding of the dynamic of the business and the difficulties of doing M&A. And therefore, if you can identify the problems up front and attack them, address them, you've got a much higher chance of success. It's ICPM firms, so typical investment management firms doing, managing individuals and families' money. It's fund companies, so ETF, mutual fund, and sort of alternative investment funds. Again, there's room for consolidation in that business. It's family offices, and then there's there's things that don't quite fit that description, but those are also interesting as consolidators or potential acquisitions for people. A lot of these businesses are fairly small, so they're not really on the bank's radar screens. They're too small to be of great interest. People are loath to hire them because they're direct competitors in many of those areas.
So how would that affect their ability to act for a client like that?
Well, first of all, they'd have to have an interest, which they generally don't. And second of all, it just doesn't pay. Banks are big machines, and they need big fees to feed the machine. And these are very time-consuming, people-oriented discussions. So, it's going to take a long time to make one of these transactions happen, and the payday is just not as interesting as the banks would want. Well, they're companies founded by people who left big institutions, so they generally don't have they have a predilection not to like banks because they probably worked for one or something like that, and they become very attached to the business and very attached to the clients. So you really need to work with the people who own these businesses. They're running them and owning them. So you really need to work with them to get things done. And the problem with putting 2 of those together is you have 2 of the same teams of people in terms of personalities and their attachment to the business. So you have to figure out how to make 2 go together and be able to take people out of the equation without damaging the business.